Hi guys, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. I hope you're doing well today. Thank you very much for tuning in. I really appreciate it. Shout out to all the subscribers. Big up to anybody new locked in. Gratitude to you. Let's talk about counterpunching. This video is going to be based on the art of counterpunching. We're going to talk a bit about science. I'm going to give my philosophy on counterpunching. I'm going to explain, give some analogies behind what it takes to be a good counterpuncher. We're going to go through a bunch of different boxers that are very good counterpunchers, the different styles of counterpunching, and I'm just going to ramble for a bit. So let's go.
Once a snake strikes, then he attacks. I learned that when a guy can punch, the best time to hit a guy is when he's trying to punch you. Because that's what that dog would do. He wouldn't attack that snake till that snake reached at him. Then he make that snake pay. So that's the most vulnerable time to catch a guy.
Back comes Crawford with the jab. Down goes Spence. How quickly that changes.
Big right hand from Sanchez. Zayas lets it, and he... Look at the left hand high. Catch and shoot.
Boxing.
I learned that when a guy can punch, the best time to hit a guy is when he's trying to punch you.
Okay, so in essence, a counter punch is exactly what it says. You know, you're countering an opponent that tries to punch you. So they're in the mid act of punching, whether it be right at the beginning of their punch or at the end of it when it actually might hit you, which we'll get onto, which is a form of counter punching, which is called catch and shoot, which is where you catch your opponent's shot and then you shoot. But Roy Jones, as that clip I just left in the intro, said it perfectly. You know, the best opportunity to hit your opponent is when they're punching.
I learned that when a guy can punch, the best time to hit a guy is when he's trying to punch you.
Because their hand is not on their chin, right? If their hand is close to yours trying to punch yours, there's room there. And that's the beauty of a counterpunch, because your opponent is vulnerable. It's risky, you know. Throwing a punch is somewhat risky. If you're in punching range, guess what? You can be hit as well, which is the art of counterpunching. Now, there's a lot that goes into a good counterpuncher, really. You know, some counterpunchers, like, you can't teach. Roy Jones Jr., you cannot teach the level of hand-eye coordination mixed with athleticism, mixed with vision, mixed with execution, mixed with timing, mixed with just the perfect punch and the perfect time to throw that punch, and just being able to see it from start to finish, the way that his mind processes everything. Top counter punchers, elite counter punchers, like your Tank, like Bud Crawford, you know, Canelo, they feel and they can see the punch coming, right? Because a lot of different reasons. A lot of it can be down to their opponent. If the opponent's getting a little bit lazy, or if the opponent's letting them know they're going to throw a punch, which is called a punch tell. I'll give you a good example. I'm going to put up a lot of footage as I'm talking just to show you exactly what's going on. But in this clip where AJ was fighting Usyk, it's just a simple punch tell. He's got his jab. He moves his hand a little bit. Usyk sees that. AJ might as well have been saying, I'm about to punch now, because he just did that before he jabbed, then he jabbed, but Usyk made it look easy because he's able to read that simple pattern. And, you know, that can be down to laziness. It can actually be down to laziness in the gym, to be honest with you. If you're just hitting the bag like that and no one's calling you out, or no one sees these punch tells, that can come across in the fight. Or you could have a lapse of concentration, and, you know, not every punch is going to be crisp and sharp from the chin, bam, like that. You know, you're going to have your little lapses of concentration, and that's why counter punchers, they wait for that moment. They wait. If you look against Tank versus Rolly, you know, he's like a sniper. You know, the snipers are in there, or a deer hunter. They're just there waiting in dead silence, and then the eyes are reading all this information. You know, like the Terminator when he's in that, it goes into that bar and he's examining everybody. Quick speed. That's what good counter punchers are doing. Shakur Stevenson against Valdez when he caught him with that beautiful left hand on the ropes. Their concentration is through the roof, you know.
Shakur Stevenson stepping back, straight left hand, boom, but that's the left hook right there that I'm talking about.
Even with Bud too. Bud, when he was on the ropes against Spence, that uppercut he caught him with, he just saw it coming and he just turned, just a slight turn, didn't even need to do much, using his opponent's aggression against them. That's another thing counterpunches does. You use your opponent's aggression against them, so they're coming onto it. But back to Tank, you know, the eyes reading all that information. He spotted some patterns. They did their film study before. People know that Rolly's footwork is a little clumsy at best. You know, he leans in. Spence leant in the same way in the second round. Got caught with that 2-1 swivel jab, or 2 swivel jab. And you know, it's all timing. Pattern recognition too is a big part of it, which is you're able to spot these similarities that happen. You know, Cotto got caught in the first round against Zab Judah because he kept coming in with that double jab, and Emmanuel Stewart, RIP, what a legend. Wow, he's truly missed, but he called that before it happened.
On Zabdil Judah.
And he's going to have to be a little careful with that right now, particularly while Zab is sharp. See there?
And he gets caught with a big left-hand counterpunch shot.
And then sure enough, Zab Judah came in, cracked him with a beautiful uppercut. But another thing, counterpunchers do have, like, you know, a certain toughness about them, because they are risking it too. You know, it's risky because you could get hit trying to pull the move off. You know, Zab Judah does get like partially grazed, but their timing and their gauging of distance too is unbelievable. It's astonishing, and that's a big part of it, and that's a big part of the download. That's a big part of the high speed in the mind, the quickness in the mind that operates at a higher speed. It slows everything down. I've referred to Bud Crawford before as Neo from, you know, that scene against Mr. Smith, where he's finally turning, he realizes he's Neo now, and he's just doing this, and he's just catching everything slow motion. That's what it's like for counterpunchers. Floyd Mayweather against Marquez, you know, he saw, he was the level of, like, this is where it's called chess, not checkers, right? One of the reasons, I think, anyway. These are just my opinions. You know, you're welcome to have your own. I'd love to hear from you in the comments, you know. As always, I'm just some random guy on YouTube. I'm just trying to ramble, have a bit of fun, and, you know, maybe enlighten one or two, but I'm also open to suggestions in the comments for sure. But when you look at Floyd Mayweather, right, if you freeze it, what most boxers would be thinking, some might think, I can just counterpunch that. That's a good level. You know, some would probably just back off and maybe think about mounting their own jab, because counterpunching is quite difficult at a high level. It takes a very elite boxer to get some crisp, hard, beautiful counterpunches off. Don't have to be hard, but just good, clean counterpunching. But before that process all happens, Floyd Mayweather has got to process the punch coming at him. This is in front of millions of people, by the way, on, like, you know, on TV, in front of 40,000 or whatever. No pressure or anything. And so he's got to read that situation. He's got to read Marquez's jab. Once he reads the jab, he's got to execute, which is a pull. It's called a pull counter. There's many different ways you can do a counter punch. I'll get into in a second. This is called a pull counter, where you pull back. You ideally want to keep your feet on the ground because you want that movement to come back over the top. The minute you start stepping, you might be able to step back with your back foot, but if both your feet step, you're moving out of range, so you're going to be further away, but B, you have to reset your feet. So typically a pull counter is without moving your feet. Not saying it can't be done when you move your feet, but typically you'd want your feet to be still. You pull back there, the jab comes here where your head was, you know, and then you come over the top. Now, after that comes defensive responsibility, which is IQ, which is like drilled in. The fighters that have that defensive responsibility are on another level, because they already know, they're already tattooed it in their head. This is what the thought process goes in. Okay, I've got to wait for the jab, then I've got to swerve the jab, then I've got to come back with my shot, and then a lot of fighters wouldn't do the defensive responsibility, okay? But I think it's just so ingrained in top fighters like Mayweather. He's literally thinking that before it happens, and if he's not, it's instinctual. So it's remarkable either way. But with counterpunching, as I said, there's different forms of it. You know, you can do a pull counter, as I said, the explanation, a slip counter, which is just to the side. It's the same thing. You can do a block and counter, or a block and shoot, catch and shoot. And that can be done in so many different ways. You can parry the jab, shoot your own. You can catch a hook here, shoot a hook inside.
Look at the left hand high. Catch and shoot.
I'd catch a hook there, come back with an uppercut. Catch that shot, the body shot, come back with an uppercut. That's a very Floyd Mayweather uppercut thing to do. He used to do that on the ropes. Wait here, catch it here, boom, come up the top. Boots Ennis, tremendous counter puncher, especially with that Philly shell. And Keyshawn Davis as well. That is another level of counter punching, because it's like a right hand going to your face, and you just turn it like that and you come over, and then you're using their aggression against them again. Really amazing stuff. Tim Tszyu, an absolutely fabulous counter puncher. Now he has got, I'm actually making a video about his offense. I've done a couple of videos on his defense. I'll leave the links up here for them. I'll leave the thumbnail for his offense, because I'm excited about that one, because his offense is really sophisticated actually, the more I look at it, because it is a front foot pressure fighting style, but with a front foot counter punching ability too. So, but he doesn't waste anything, right? A lot of people have said, or Abner Mares specifically said, he doesn't know how to jab, or he can't jab. Yeah, he does. He just waits for you. So he's waiting for you while putting the pressure on, and when you jab, he's just going to counter your jab.
There's a nice counterweight hand from Tszyu. Doesn't have a real snappy jab.
Or a right hand, which he did with Harrison several times. And what that does, when you start getting countered, right, then you get gun shy. So then you don't want to punch. So then he starts putting the gas on and makes you fight when you don't want to.
And the left hook right hand for Tszyu really emerged as one of the top body punchers in the sport. Oh! And that right hand popping Fundora's head back.
It's an amazing style, because it's kind of a lose-lose. Because if you throw a punch, you might get countered. And if you don't, you're going to get attacked. So, amazing fighting style, Tim Tszyu. You know, I'm very high on, and anybody that knows, watches this channel knows that I'm really high on him. And after looking more into his style offensively, it's really quite a difficult style to deal with, very sophisticated. So watch out for that video. Loads of videos coming soon as well. And shout out to all the subscribers that, you know, have been locked in. I really appreciate anybody that's been watching. Much gratitude, honestly. Thank you. I'm losing my voice a bit. Right, then you have, okay, so Tim Tszyu's counterpunching, he's not looking to do that much damage. He's just looking to counterpunch you, right? I'm not saying he's not trying to do damage, but if you look at someone like Canelo, his pull counters are vicious.
Saunders took an awkward step back, and now he's holding on. And look, the right eye of Saunders is swelling up.
I mean, they well, career ending. If you look at Billy Joe Saunders, I know he probably got a bag and stuff like that, so I'm not saying it was definitely from the punch, but that punch was so devastating. I can't believe it, man. My battery ran out again. Sorry. I even cleared it before I did the video, just to make sure I had enough space. What was I saying? Canelo. Yeah. Canelo's pull counters are violent, and he's putting so much into that. You know, he's waiting for that mistake, that little error, whether you fall in. And I'll get onto what I was going to say about if you're going to attack, you better make sure that you don't have a lazy jab, or you don't just leave your punch out there. You know, same thing really. But with Canelo, he's waiting for that moment. He's like a snake. You know, snakes are right there, and then they're just dead still, and then they just attack. And that's like Canelo. But he's looking to do major damage with those shots. Whereas Tim Tszyu's just a methodical counterpuncher. And he's looking to obviously counterpunch you and score, but make a little bit of seed of doubt that you're going to throw that punch, so then he can attack and bully you on the inside anyway. So then you have James Toney. A lot of the time I'm just generally trying to stick to active fighters, but James Toney's counterpunching ability is God-given. Same with Roy Jones. It's just unbelievable because James Toney can stay in the pocket and just counterpunch after counterpunch. So the distance and like how much time he has to react, a lot of it's instinctual and hand-eye coordination. It's just fascinating how good he was. I mean, he was one of the best. It's just a shame he wasn't as disciplined as a lot of fighters, because I feel like he probably felt like he didn't need to. I mean, he sparred all the time, but you know, obviously he didn't discipline himself well enough. But nonetheless, he was still able to stay in the pocket, counterpunch in a sequence of counterpunches, you know. Shoo Carrington, wow, what a magnificent little fighter he is. He's in the featherweight division. When I say little, I just mean like a 126 are fairly little divisions, aren't they? But like I've actually got a video coming out about him really soon. I've had to put it on pause for a minute. I've given myself quite a bit of work and I just need a bit of breathing space. But I'll be making a film study about him. And he's just a really good fighter all around, but he can counterpunch exceptionally well, and he's got that defensive responsibility already, and he's going to be special. I really think he's going to be a special fighter.
The jab, sticking him on the outside, and here comes the counter. What a left hook! The leg is bent once again from Andujar. What a finish from hometown Brownsville, Brooklyn, New York. Bruce Shoo Carrington.
And he's from Brooklyn too, so that always helps, you know, being from Brooklyn. That's my second home really, or my first home really now. I actually live in the city, Manhattan, but Brooklyn, you know, that's got a special place in my heart. So I'll be rooting for Shoo. But look, overall, the level of like intelligence it takes to be a counter puncher, along with just natural ability, you know, hand-eye coordination, as I mentioned, athleticism, self-belief. You have to be able to pull these punches off. You know, it's one thing seeing it, you know, it's another thing actually pulling the trigger, you know, and actually pulling it to like your full effect. There's no point. You can't really go halfway with a counter punch. You know, it's dangerous because you're gonna leave yourself a bit more vulnerable, because there's only a little small window you've got to get that shot off. And you have to see it, you have to feel it, and then you have to execute. And that is a lot of self-belief. Patience too. One of Tank Davis's most valuable assets, I think. You know, I don't know if it gets spoken about that much, but it's his patience. Think about, right, first of all, he's been blessed with a massive amount of power. We all know that, right? And power in boxing is a mystery. I've spoken about this many times, but a lot of times fighters just overuse it. You know, they don't know how to control themselves because it is a major gift, right? And it's like almost like in the Lord of the Rings. You know, when you give someone the ring of power, they just abuse it and they go crazy. But Tank's got this power, and he's got thousands of fans and millions of fans watching him to get that knockout highlight reel, really. You know, a lot of fans are waiting for that moment. Oh, Tank's going to catch him, and because he's knocked out he's got so many highlight reel knockouts. But they come from patience, and to have that kind of patience in an arena live with the cameras rolling, and just to give away rounds like he did against Rolly, and just be patient and wait for that perfect moment. And again, so when I spoke about pattern recognition, right, that's a perfect one where Santa Cruz, I mean, look, he threw 3 right hands in a row? Was it 3 jabs or 3 right hands? And it's like, when you're doing that, guess what's coming next? And that's pattern recognition. He saw that, he felt it, bang, and that's all she wrote.
Champions with the hearts of champions. If Davis thought Santa Cruz was going to fold from his... Oh, my! There is a lethal left uppercut.
But, you know, he had to pull the trigger, and he had to be there, and he had to self-believe, and he had to execute, and you know, the rest is history. But it takes a lot to be a really good counterpuncher. It really does, you know. You know, they can obviously work on it heavily in the gym, and typically they will be on the back foot, and they will be reading their opponent, and they will be looking for all these mistakes, and they will be sharper. They will probably be a bit more talented and more athletic, but they still got to do it. And you know, counterpunching is such a beautiful art. It really is. You know, there's science involved, there's art involved, and there's skill, athleticism, everything else that I've mentioned is involved. It culminates to make such a beautiful shot and a beautiful move in boxing that obviously is just marveled at. And it's got so many highlight reels which I've shown you. Hopefully, you know, I was able to cover all the bases, and I wrote down so many different fighters when I was putting this piece together, and I was going over it in my head because I knew there was so much to talk about. I didn't want to leave anything out. I'm sure I have, but if you can think of any fighters that you like, leave them in the comments, and like, you know, I'll probably be remembered of what great a counterpuncher they were. But that's it from me. I've rambled quite a bit. My battery's on 5%. It's about to die again. Man, listen, I appreciate anybody that's still watching right now. I really do. Thank you very much. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button. If you are new, hit the subscribe button. I've got a load of videos coming. The next one up, I'll be working on the Tim Tszyu offense video, but there might be something before that. I'm going to keep the videos coming, and much gratitude to all of you. All right, peace and love. I'm out.
I learned that when a guy can punch, the best time to hit a guy is when he's trying to punch you.
Boxing.
On it.